Hello, Internet. I am John. Today I want to talk to you about Voidforged and Void Dwellers in Stellaris 4.0. The devs recently announced hotfixed 4.0.21, I think, will be the last hotfix until August. So the game is going to be relatively stable for the next 2 months or so, which means now seems like a good time to go run a longer game. Rather than some kind of one-off experiments that were getting obsoleted every week. Resource consolidation, for example, since my last video, got nerfed down to kind of around the level of a normal planet, and then a week or two later subsequently rebuffed back to being basically a full-power machine world, and the raw resource districts got buffed too, so you don't need to use the buildings anymore. So resource consolidation is quite strong, again, stronger than it was, and kind of not interesting, really. So, I want to talk about the other origin that I play, basically, which is Void Dwellers, which has not been getting the same kind of love from the devs that Resource Consolidation has recently. So, I'm going to start a game with a Determined Exterminator, Voidforged, and Constructobot as my second Civic. Generally, Determined Exterminator and Voidforged don't play super well together. They're both very demanding of alloys, right? Determined Exterminator wants lots and lots of alloys in order to build ships and go stop the organics from disassembling you. And Voidforged wants lots and lots of alloys to build habitats to live on. So these two features are going to be competing for our alloy production. And it's not really ideal, but it is interesting at least. So, and then Constructobot, I don't know how much the tooltip here tells you, but good. Yeah, so getting kind of into the details of Voidforged, right? We start with an orbital habitat as our homeworld. We get habitat preference, so we get basically 100% habitability in habitats. And we get bonus job efficiency on habitats. So our pops are very productive on habitats, but we take these penalties, increased upkeep on non-artificial worlds and a job efficiency penalty on non-artificial worlds. And this includes Gaias and machine worlds and nanite worlds and ecumonopoli and relic worlds and all those good worlds. We still take this penalty. And naturally we also take it on kind of your typical habitables. We do not take it on ring worlds. I believe we don't get the efficiency bonus on ring worlds either. So ring worlds are kind of like where your end game usually ends up historically. I'm not sure if that's still true in 4.0, but so we're machines and we still get the machine habitability floor, right? We can go settle regular habitable worlds at 50% habitability. But these penalties from 0G optimized, minus 15% job efficiency on non-artificial worlds is kind of like a 30% habitability penalty, right? Because every 2 points of habitability loss, you lose 1 point of job efficiency. So our pops are not going to be very productive on those worlds, even though they nominally have kind of decent habitability. It's not great. So we really are not going to be wanting to be using those much, especially not ones where we're at 50%. If we're, if we have nanite worlds or relic worlds or Gaias or whatnot, minus 30% of 100 is 70 is kind of okay, effectively. As far as other species traits, bulky, housing doesn't matter much. For machines, we don't care about needing extra housing to produce logistic pop growth. Adaptive frames is still pretty good. I've seen people complain about automodding traits not working quite right on the forums, and this has not been my experience. Adaptive frames seems to mostly work. If you're shuffling pops around, stuff gets a little weird, but it's fine. Mass-produced, more pop assembly, always good. War Machine is kind of roleplay, I guess. Repurposed hardware and uncanny. So these are the two traits that I have been using instead of the one that used to increase your pop assembly costs and now reduces replicator efficiency. I think it's luxurious, yeah. Reduced replicator job efficiency is really bad. It would more than outweigh mass-produced in terms of lost pop assembly, so we don't want that. Uncanny is the easy one to explain. Entertainer jobs means maintenance drones. I don't want maintenance drones. I want my drones to be doing productive things, so I'm penalizing a job that I'm going to endeavor to have little of. I'm not going to succeed at that, the maintenance drones happen, but I would rather turn them to something else, and I don't care much about this penalty. Repurposed hardware. Often early game, machines struggle with unity production, and leaders leveling too fast produces high unity upkeeps. So this slows down leader leveling and saves on unity early. I'm not convinced that this is all terrible. And then Gestalt leaders don't get like destiny traits, and we don't get the fancy Paragon leaders. So like leaders are not what Gestalts are about. So this is a penalty that I don't mind too much, and is it's kind of nice in the early game. As far as civics, or actually, we were talking about other stuff on Voidforged, right? So we get the guaranteed orbital habitats tax, so we can build habitats from the start. Instead of guaranteed habitable worlds, we get some resource-rich systems where we can build habitats. These are actually kind of hard to find sometimes, and it's kind of annoying. It's not like, you enter a system, your science ship jumps in and goes, oh, here is a habitable world of the right habitability class. This is probably one of my guaranteed habitables. With Void Dwellers, you don't realize that until you're like halfway through serving the system and you go, oh, this one has deposits of weird sizes, like this is one of my guaranteed habitables. So you can't like beeline for them as easily. You can't find them with your military first, and you have to find them with scientists. But it's nice to have something, I guess. This waives technology requirements for basic district specialization and habitats. This is a lie. This is not true, and it's part of why I'm taking Constructobot, because Constructobot's version of this actually works. Requires template system for species mods. This is to keep you from just switching your habitability preference at the very beginning of the game and going and assembling pops for other world types. I don't really bother customizing pops for different world types, so it doesn't matter to me much. We do get some bonuses related, just kind of numerical bonuses to make habitats more workable. I'll talk a little bit more about these later. And then as far as civics, they reordered everything. Right, so Constructobot actually waives technology requirements for district specializations, and the infrastructure speed and build cost are also nice. I think Constructobot and functional architecture, the ability to waive the tax for basic district specs, is really nice early game. There are a lot of really critical techs in the early game in 4.0 that are competing, and if you draw multiple, it really hurts. So like the lab boost techs, for example. And being able to delay the techs that you want to specialize districts, like the energy grid tech, for example, we're going to want it, but not needing it right out the gate as badly helps a lot early game. It's just nice. There's also a neat bug related to habitats specifically with Constructobot and functional architecture that we'll see. But and there's one other habitat bug that I will also show you guys that is pretty funny. But what else? That kind of covers it. Other good civics. Rapid replicator is never bad. I think the lubrication basins might actually be good now, because you can build the buildings. It's not tied to industry districts like it used to be. You can just build them in your capital, like 6 building slots. And the boosts to pop assembly are really big, and the penalty to amenities usage, I'm not sure that matters very much if you're just building drone storages for your amenities. So I think this might be pretty good, but I haven't played too much with it yet. I've also been getting increasingly warm on static research analysis for the research alternatives, right? Especially as an exterminator, where you're not going to have scalariums probably, so you're kind of stuck with 4 research alternatives unless you go discovery or take static research analysis or get lucky with one of your cognitive node like veteran traits or something to get one that gives you an extra research alternative. So I think that's really nice, and we might play discovery this game, I'm not sure. Anyway, so I think that kind of covers the build. We're still doing Spoked, Ensign. Let's start over. I was fiddling with something with no AIs. I've been kind of randomizing stuff a little bit. I don't really want to deal with War in Heaven, so we'll just be like, we'll have a couple Fallen Empire, 1 or 2, I don't know. leaving all this stuff alone. I have been turning down wormholes because fighting wormhole wars is really annoying. I've been turning off the artifact precursors. I still have storms off. I turned off archive as well. I've been realizing that the Grand Archive content really isn't fun. The specimens don't matter that much anymore. The ones that were really interesting before were the global amenities ones. But the amenities situation is so slack right now that, like, I don't feel like I need them, and everything else the Grand Archive adds is just annoying, right? The Voidworms are annoying, the Cthulhuids are annoying. The draw weight on, like, Beast Masters, for example, the Civic, is super duper high. It's like 5 times higher than that of a normal Civic, for no clear reason. So there's like always a Beastmaster's Empire every game, and you have to go fight the amoeba ships every game. And it's also true for like the leader traits like Void Hunter, which, I mean, I like the sublight speed on Void Hunter, but still, it's just weird that like whoever picked the draw weights for stuff in Grand Archive really wanted to shove it in your face all the time, and I'm kind of tired of it. Storms, and I don't have Diagenesis, so. And Marauders as well, we'll do 0-1. I'm kind of tired of planning my runs around the con, so we're going to set it up so that I won't know whether the con is even possible. L-Gates, Current Raiders, yes, fine. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about habitat economics right now. So the great thing, the great thing that happened in 4.0 for habitats is that we no longer need to manually build orbitals, right? If you pick your construction ship and you go to like build megastructures, orbitals no longer a thing you build, which is awesome because micromanaging orbital construction was really annoying. Oh, wow, okay, we're right at the end of the smoke. So instead, orbitals get auto-built occasionally as you build more districts in your central command. They do have upkeep, which is a little annoying. It's like, okay, I don't control when these get built, but I do have to pay for them. But it's not that much. It's not like, they used to be alloy upkeep and were much more expensive. Now, they're just a little bit energy and not a big deal. Unfortunately, districts now cost alloys. And this is part of why I like Constructobot, is that build cost reduction is much more significant when it's alloys instead of minerals. So the base cost for these is like 150 alloys per district, and we are getting reductions from both Constructobot and from Voidforged economic bonuses, dropping it down to 90 currently. But still, that's a Corvette per district, basically. So districts are kind of expensive now. They have alloy upkeep. That's been true for a while. It's not huge, but it adds up over time. You always get the ability to specialize these districts in your capital, but when we start building more habitats, Constructobot kicks in and lets us skip text to specialize. What else? So number of jobs per district has also changed. Previously, with Void Dwellers, you would get 3 jobs per district. So, 3 pops worth of, and now it's, before you specialize, it's only 150. So our districts are about half as good as they were before 4.0 in terms of jobs provided. For non-Void Dweller empires, it's only 100 jobs per district, which is terrible. And then after we specialize, it goes back up to 300 jobs per district, which is parity with the number of jobs per district Void Dwellers got before 4.0, and also parity with the number of jobs per district that planetary empires get after specializing a district. So before, Void Dwellers got more jobs per district than planetary empires. Now they get fewer before specialization and the same number after specialization. So our efficiency per district in terms of number of jobs has fallen both against our own past performance and against that of other empires that we are competing against now. So that's kind of bad. And we're still paying, as much as we ever paid for them in terms of build cost and upkeep. So we are going to want to specialize pronto, basically, because if we don't specialize, our districts are terrible. Other things in my notes. Brewer district. So the second specialization in habitat urban districts is really delayed now. Generally, you need to unlock this tech here, right, which is a tier 4 engineering tech. Most empires on so to get the second urban district specialization on terrestrial habitable planets, it's like a tier 2 society tech. It comes out much earlier, right? You know, I'm lucky to get this done by like 2270, and you know the tier 2 society tech to get planetary capitals often comes out in like 2230, right? So our availability of specialists relative to planetary empires is also not great. Here we do get 150, you know, per, versus they're getting 100 per district from a single specialization, and then 200 once they get that second specialization. We'll get 300 once we get the second specialization, but it comes out much later. And this is actually where Constructobot comes into play. For some reason, Constructobot gives you the second city district on your second city district specialization on new habitats. Maybe because it's tied to the tech rather than to actually building the tier 2 capital. But it's a funny kind of glitch, and the devs have decided it's not that important, I guess. Other issues with habitats, we also don't get access to the raw resource support districts. So this means that habitats as raw resource production centers are not competitive with terrestrial planets. So our raw resource economy is going to be weaker than a well-played terrestrial empire. Fortunately, the AI doesn't know how to use urban district raw resource support specializations yet. Maybe they'll figure it out at some point, but there was a comment in the code as of a couple patches ago that like this is complicated and we haven't figured it out yet. So we're not, you know, we're parity with the AI there, at least. Another thing that has changed is the number of max raw resource districts. So before 4.0, if you built an orbital over a body with a deposit, you would get 3 max raw resource districts of that deposit's type. And it didn't matter if the deposit was 1 mineral or 6 minerals, and also it would block the mining, which was kind of annoying. Now, instead, it adds... you're not building orbitals manually, but when you build a habitat command center in a system with bodies that have deposits, the number of max raw resource districts you get is 1 plus half of the deposit size for each deposit, right? So if you have like 2 deposits each of size 4, you get, you know, 1 plus 2 from the first deposit and 1 plus 2 from the second deposit, and it rounds down. So a size 3 deposit gives you 2 max raw resource districts. And the issue here is that most deposits are small, right? Most deposits are size 2 and 3, which give you 2 max raw resource districts, whereas before 4.0, they would have given you 3 max raw resource districts. So the availability of raw resource districts is, I think, lower now than it was before 4.0, and Voidforged already kind of struggled with energy production before in terms of availability of reactor districts. I suspect that like hive void dwellers will struggle somewhat with food, which is now coupled to generator districts. So like you can, instead of specializing them to produce energy, you can specialize them to produce food and energy. But it's not like, you know, you used to be able to just like pick a habitat designation and then like every urban district would give you farmers, and now it's limited by your max number of generator districts, which is lower than it used to be. Also, planetary, like habitable planets in 4.0 can build these buildings that increase your max raw resource districts. Habitats don't get those either. And the most recent nerf, we can still build the like Voltaic production yards that give generator jobs, which is nice. we can no longer build the surface mines that give mining jobs, even in the Astro Mining Bay like specialization. So the raw resource situation on habitats is not good. What else? The trade deficit changes hit habitats pretty hard because you have lots of small worlds that move resources around between them. The capitals basically haven't been updated. So we get some logistic drone jobs from the capital, which is new, but we still get evaluators. This is like one of the few sources of evaluators left in the game. Evaluators are a fine job, so like I'm happy to see them, but we also get very few replicators from habitat capitals, right? This is a tier 2 habitat capital, and we get 100 replicators, so a replicator. Whereas a tier 1 planetary capital gives 200 replicators. So we're going to be building a lot of machine assembly plants just to kind of get to parity with the assembly that we would have if we were on planetary bodies. And then the other thing here is that habitat capitals still give no crime suppression, even though habitats now can reach, 15, 20 districts. We're going to need to build sentinel posts, and we're going to need to do it quite early, actually, because we have 48 pops effectively. So the crime from pops hasn't kicked in yet, but it's going to, as soon as I unpause, it's going to go to 25%. Hive void dwellers start with even more pops, and it goes to 30% immediately. And you cannot possibly get a crime suppression building out fast enough to avoid having crime chain start on your capital. So that's fun. Other things, we don't get access to the research specs for our habitation districts, for our city districts effectively. The only tech thing we get here is archives. We don't get research enclave or any of that. And this is because the devs want people to actually use research districts rather than just shoving scientists into their city districts, which is not helpful. The tech to specialize research districts is also, it's like one of the +% research station output techs. And it's not noted in the tech anywhere. Let's see if we drew it. We did not. But it's really easy to miss and pass up if you aren't paying attention. And it's kind of important to get, this is only 135 jobs per district, which is even lower than the 150 we get most places until we specialize it. I guess the one nice thing that I will give them is that habitats are bigger now in terms of max districts. So we already have 11 districts built, and we can still build 5 more, right? So we're starting with basically a 16 district world. Oh yeah, it says that max district 16. And if we look around at other nearby systems, max districts 10, 12, 10. You see a lot of 10s and 12s right out the gate, right? Gone are the days when Void Dwellers started with size 4 habitats, right? So we don't need to spam as hard as we used to just to fit stuff into our habitats. The reason to spam habitats now is pop assembly, which, kind of always was, but before you could actually fill up your habitats pretty quickly if you were building size 4 habitats, or in 3.14 they were effectively size 8. Now they're 10 to 12 to 16 on the capital, right? Habitats actually get pretty good size now, and I think that's probably an argument in favor of Voidforged virtuality. We're probably not going to do virtuality because we're exterminators and we want to get wide, but you certainly could do that more productively than you used to be able to. Okay, that was a lot of complaining about the state of habitats. I'm actually going to start the timer now and start playing the game, but so opening moves. Here, this is exactly what I'm talking about with Constructobot, right? Ordinarily, we would need this tech. We would want this really, really badly because it's a prereq for the tech that lets you specialize generator districts. But instead, because we have Constructobot, we can take Field Dynamics Center, which will let us boost the output of all of our physicists. And it's 1 point of base output, but right now, our physicists are producing what it's like base of 9 for, but that's after productivity bonuses. I think the base output on the job is only like 4, right? So this is like a 25% output boost to your physicists, and the sooner you get these tier 1 labs up, the better. Here, this is a tough choice between fleet supremacy and unity. I like I really like this edict for actually doing the buildup. And I think we'll be able to get supremacy out without the extra unity. Here again, looking at this set of choices, right? The plus engineering output is really good. Ceramo-Metal's pretty good, right? It doesn't cost us reactor to put on our corvettes, but I think we do want the extra engineering output. Okay, and then what do we got government-wise? Stability amenities, dock ship upkeep. That one's kind of lousy, especially on cognitive. Ship build speed is fine. Sublight speed I'm excited to see. And then for my leader, again, I've been picking infiltration speed. I think it's funny, and we're going to do a lot of spying. So here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until I get prosperity, and then immediately switch to prosperity's agenda. And then let's do that. I've been switching my starting corvettes over to flak and lasers just before I send them out even now. I hear tell that corvettes with missiles are really good now, but I think it relies on actually having the artillery computer, so I don't think that's relevant just yet. I haven't had a whole lot of success with them personally, but we'll do that upgrade and just never, like, not use the AI generated design. This is a really weird cluster structure. This is gross and gonna be really hard to defend, so we'll do the 12 districts first, and then here I think what we do sentinel posts right off out. Well, yeah. You see, there we go. 25% crime already. So we're gonna build these soon. It's kind of a silly like first build, but okay. Now we have enough to trade for it. I think simulation sites are also a really good first build, or like early build now, because we start with like all these maintenance drones. So I don't. What I'm going to do instead, though, is I'm going to build mining specialization and then energy and research specializations, and convert these maintenance drones to productive jobs rather than spending minerals and build time on the simulation site. We'll build it later. It's nice passive unity, but it's not. I don't think that's the right way to play it, especially with the maintenance drone output penalty I've voluntarily accepted. And then once we have a little more minerals, we will build the mining stations as well. Not sure if that's a good one. I've just enabled astral rifts recently. I don't actually know the rifts yet, so as with my archaeology sites and my anomalies, my book on those is weak. That goes off that way. Oh yeah, what do we get for leader traits? Our governor has experience gain. Okay, not really what I'm looking for. Our scientist has experience gain, splendid, and our leader had like an army thing? Yeah. Build speed, army cost. That army cost reduction is actually kind of interesting. We could swap them in temporarily when we, like, go do an army buildup. Like off of our initial cap. When we do our initial army buildup off of our capital. Okay, so that actually closed. Nope, it goes off that way.
Construction complete.
I also want to see if this ends or if it continues. So we're at 530. We need 850. Cost us 130. Yeah, I mean, we have the... trade to accelerate that along. $850. Okay, first tradition. I'm gonna go prosperity. Expansion historically was the choice of first tradition for void dwellers, and several things have changed over time, which have made it weaker in that regard, I think. So it does have a habitat alloy upkeep reduction on the first node now, and it's a nice bonus. It certainly adds up over time. You know, it's an extra like alloy per month per habitat, but it's not that huge. It used to have an alloy, a habitat build cost reduction of like 20%, I think, and that was like a big chunk of alloys. You know, right at the beginning, every time you were building, you know, your initial set of habitats, those were alloys that you could reinvest productively. Whereas the upkeep reduction, you know, it adds up over time, but you can't. It's not like you get 300 alloys all at once to go use for corvettes or something. And then we no longer get a pop per colony when we establish a colony, so that's not nearly as good. I mean, districts are expensive for us, so that's nice, but then we're paying upkeep on districts that we don't have pops to use, so it's I'm lukewarm on that bonus, much less so than on colonies. And the agenda on expansion gives like increased colony development speed, which is not outstanding, right? Habitats already get a big colony development speed bonus, so versus prosperity, right? Prosperity's agenda is super good, especially early game when you're on a single planet and it's your capital. And it also comes with an upkeep reduction, 10% versus expansion's 20, but it applies to everything, right? It's much broader scoped than expansions, and the build cost and upkeep reduction, and build cost and and build speed. So yeah, prosperity is just, it's a really good first tradition. And then we can go supremacy, or we can take the opening node of expansion. So we're going to open
Council
prosperity.
agenda available.
Again, I don't care about infinite opportunities because amenities are cheap now. Just build drone storage. Okay, so again, no dead ends. Maybe that'll be a dead end. That would be nice. Actually, we can route... Yeah, let's do that. That's a system we want to see. Oh, darn it. Okay, never mind. Okay, what do we got and where? That is a science ship. That's quite close, quite early. 2201 is very early. That's a dead end, so they're probably down this way somewhere. now that we have the prosperity agenda started, I am willing to consider a second scientist. I like the planetary. I like this bonus. Let's hire him and get a science ship for him, because we have to go find our habitables, and they're not straightforward to find. Okay, so here's probably a capital. I've been noticing the AI seems to be building strongholds first, like really often now. I don't know if that's just a thing that non-gestalts are getting, these strongholds on their capital, but it's pretty annoying when you want to go invade people first thing. What do we got for ethics? Materialist, militarist, xenophobe, materialist, xenophobe, militarist. Splendid. Probably not a purifier or anything. Like militarist, xenophobe, and it's a lot of militarists and a lot of xenophobes, but I don't think you would ordinarily have like materialists showing up this early, especially in those kind of numbers, if that weren't an empire ethic. Although they do have natural physicists, which produces ethics pull towards materialists. So, I don't know. What's their ally production is 12 per month, so we're producing more, but we also need to spend it on habitats. And we should expect to meet about 400 armies, which means we'll want, 800 maybe. And they are already building corvettes, so they're at 5 corvettes now. So we'll just park here, keep an eye on that approach, and switch our admiral to scouting. Here's a science ship. Maybe you just pick a system, any system. I mean, okay, so our mineral production has doubled. We were around 56, now we're at 100, because we specialized these districts and got many more jobs per district. We can't really build anything useful here. As I said, we don't get the surface mines building to get more jobs out of these. We could do more alloy production before we do generators and research. With a neighbor that close, yeah. Well, it keeps going.
Construction complete.
How many? You still have a bunch of stuff left, so.
Anomalous surface variable detected.
We could use the build speed and the cost reductions, both. But we will switch to Supremacy pretty soon.
Construction complete.
This tradition or Supremacy is kind of the question. Growth node. I don't think we had any edict upkeep and edict fund on the council. Get it here instead. Here we do naval cap. That's easy. Here, yeah, we'll do the edict fund. Still, I'm not sure how much a +2 stability bonus really helps. It's such a small bonus. But we will want to run some expensive edicts, the nanite edicts, for example. I mean, we can do espionage too, because these aren't amazing, right? If it was like the pop assembly speed one or something like that, I would take it. But espionage doesn't really help us right now. Yeah, cataloger's fine at the moment. Okay, so we have 1,000 alloys, or 1,000 minerals, and the build queue is empty, so we should build. Because we have the pops. Although our pop surplus is declining rapidly. We're now at 35 alloys per month, which is a Corvette every 3 months or so.
System survey complete.
Okay, so this is not one of our guaranteed habitables. It's a fine system, though. I don't really want to be spending alloys on outposts right now before I have some bank.
System survey complete.
I don't think we have any agenda speed either, which I like having a little bit of. Here's some replicators. Stacking up multiple instances of espionage on the council is pretty funny, but having more pop assembly speed would be really good, given our limited access to pop assembly due to our weak capitals.
Anomalous surface variable detected.
Okay, so this links up. So that's kind of a natural choke point for this whole side. That's good to know. Okay, how much upkeep are we really paying? And look there, so we the energy specialization hit and doubled our generator drone jobs, and we went from +8 surplus to +64. And at the cost of 400 maintenance drones. So that's a big win. Right, upkeep. We're paying 33 energy and 8 alloys per month. 10%, so it would save us 3 energy and 0.8 alloys per month. I think we start Supremacy. I think they're so close so early.
Council agenda available.
Ah, the Empire focus system. Splendid. Calling me out on having a bank rather than spending it usefully.
System survey complete.
Also not one of our guaranteed habitables. Hopefully they'll expand this way and we can just take their stuff and not have to survey it. This side, though, we probably do want to survey. At this point, I would feel okay with the simulation site. I think maybe the play here is to build another city district. Oh, the alloys, though. How much alloy does that produce? 8 per month, so it'll pay for itself in 10 months. Versus more alloy foundries, which just cost minerals. Because really, I want more tech, I want more unity, I want more alloys. I had the energy to support more unity or research production, but I don't really want to pay how much I have. 600 pops. This would cost me 300 pops. I think we do, yeah, one uplink node and one alloy foundry, rather than paying the alloys here. 150 alloys. But it's pop-free production if we go that way. I think we do it. Because we're going to spend more minerals on that alloy production. It's a good system.
System survey.
Is that the end of your orders? We're getting pretty lousy deposits so far. This is not great. Two and 6? That's kind of decent. Pulsar. That could be an interesting place for a defense. Go here, I guess.
Construction complete.
Okay, this is a scientist. I don't know. I like building my scientists to be governors later, but not of energy worlds.
Alert. Non-standard space entity encountered.
Whoop. Crystal entities. Let's nope him on out of there before they engage. Pull him out. That's one we can start without accelerating our timetable too much. This is our official leveling. Yes, I would be happy to get efficient builder. Upkeep and build speed are super handy. I mean, the deviancy reduction would save us 2 pops, but I don't know. He'll probably pick it up again later. That one comes up a lot. Speaking of which, we probably are over suppressing crime. We probably could free up a pop from our. We might want to unemploy the logistics drones too. Logistics drones, it turns out, are awful. So their base output is 4 trade per month. And as a Gestalt, our only trade policy option just turns trade into trade. Ordinarily, so individualist empires get trader jobs, kind of the equivalent to logistics drone jobs, as you know, produce trade and a small amount of amenities. But traders produce 8 trade per month, and then half of that gets converted into other resources. So traders are much more productive than logistics drones. My thinking is that logistics drones are so unproductive that really what I want to be doing is just producing stuff, producing energy. Because a tech drone produces like 8 energy per month as base output. So even if you're only selling it for, 0.7, right? You're still coming out ahead. One tech drone producing, 5.6 trade per month rather than 4 from your logistics drone. And that relies on, having things that you can sell for reasonable prices. But the trade situation for Gestalts is quite bad right now. So we might want to unemploy them too, because it's just a lousy job. Yeah, we're still at low crime values. Yeah, I'm happy at 8 or 10%. And that frees up some pops that we can then use for other things. We've got a Terraforming candidate? Okay. Yeah, that's usually the first one I pick. They're so close that I'm wondering whether that's the right choice. Okay, so the second foundry hit and dropped our mineral surplus a bit, but we're up to 50 alloys per month with a bank of 2.2k. Means, I mean, a Corvette costs us what? 80 alloys. So we can build probably 30 Corvettes right now. We don't have the fleet command limit boosts yet, but call it 5 years to get those two. This will come out in time, so yeah, we could hit them with a. Well, and this is a Corvette every 2 months. 5 years gives us another 30 Corvettes. So we could hit them with 60 Corvettes in a single fleet in 5 years or so, probably. That means not building another habitat, but we haven't. Okay, this looks like one of our guaranteed habitables, maybe. We get energy deposits, we got a bunch of small research deposits. That's good. That's good to find. We'll just survey out to that choke point, I guess. Here, let's put our... see that one. It's nice that this is a dead end. I mean, we could take here and there's our 2 choke points, right? They're probably expanding this way. I don't... there might not... maybe... okay, let's go here. Nah... That's 1 hop from the homeworld. I should know about what's there. Other order. Okay, nothing exciting there. Not even many max habitats. Astral Scar, interesting. Okay, so at this point, I've kind of done the scouting, the initial scouting that I want to do. I found my natural choke points. I found my nearest neighbor. We could start pulling back to some extent. I do still want to keep something there, just to kind of keep an eye on when they get to that point. We still have pops, so we should be built and resources. Yeah, we can do research lab. That's fine.
Construction complete.
That's going to be our next build. Our next outpost, probably.
Technological acquisition success.
We'll do Xenolab. We have plenty of naval cap. We'll want that. And then bioreactors are just awful for us. Oh, these are going to come out soon. That's a good reason not to build the research lab. Well, 40 months is a while, but these come with a fair number of jobs. Yeah, that was a mistake. I should have just let it finish. Well, or we could do something else with that energy. If we're going to have a bunch more science coming, we can do Unity for now. Repair systems isn't very good. This boosts the whole regen, like the base whole regen rate, by 0.5%. So it boosts a very small number by another very small number. But fire rate's good. Happy to see that one. Yeah, I think we do it. It's a fair bit of tech.
System survey complete.
2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the limits of our capital sector. 1, 2, 3, 4. So like this triangle isn't going to be in it. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3.
System survey complete.
Oh, that was interesting. Something kind of popped there. Okay, here we go. They're surveying 2 hops from our homeworld.
Construction complete.
Okay, yeah, so we could do 40.
Anomalous surface variable detected.
We just got the edict, and we have plenty of edict fund, so we can set up fleet supremacy, which will give us more ship build speed for when it's time to go. We will want to replace this solar panel probably. In games where I've had less close immediate neighbors, I've been doing like a forward shipyard, but here we'll probably just replace that with the shipyard when it's build up time.
Anomalous surface variable detected. Technological acquisition successful.
Here's our physics upgrade. I think we do blue lasers. I think blue lasers are such a big early game combat upgrade. These are great techs. We're gonna need them, but I don't think I can pass up blue lasers, especially with more physics coming. And that's gonna use up almost all of our remaining jobs, unless we start pulling logistics drones. Excuse me, almost all of our remaining like unemployed pops, because it's 200 jobs, I think. I really want this fleet command limit, and the build speed is nice. I might start the build up a little early, actually. We'll go up to like they had 5 corvettes when we met them previously. We can do that. At this point, we've got the build speed and upkeep stuff, so we're not getting, you know, Corvette build patterns or anything like that. So, and this is our other guaranteed habitable here. You see with the 5 and 3, the 5 mineral, 3 alloy deposit. That's the giveaway. Yeah, interesting. There's something kind of popping up and fading there. I don't know what it is. So we're gonna want that one definitely. If I were to build more stuff, what would it be? I don't really want to push my mineral production too much lower, because I'm going to need a bunch for armies. We could do the simulation site. If we have the science ship there, we don't need the fleet there either. This is better than average for this guaranteed system. That 6 is pretty good. And the 5 energy. Yeah. Delightful.
System survey complete. Construction complete.
Okay, so we could take, you know, outpost these 2. I don't want to spend the alloys on it though. I want to save them for ships. You got the engineering workshop coming pretty soon. That's what we'll do. We'll pull the logistics drones. I forget what exactly Crystalline Study gives, but it's pretty good. I think it's like plus 5% energy from pops, maybe.
A foreign entity has decrypted our communications.
Solid. Yeah, 515.3. That's great. And how many max districts? 10. Okay, so you know, a little on the small side, but not awful.
System survey complete. Technological
Council
acquisition
agenda
successful.
Okay, so we got the engineering workshop. Oh, Afterburners versus automation. Tough calls. Afterburners we can steal from other people. Afterburners are really good in Corvette warfare, though. I think we take automation. The issue is that currently the automation building does not correctly compute its upkeep when built in habitat raw resource districts, which is just a delightful edge case. But automation in habitat generator districts is free. It has 0 upkeep, which is a bit of a cheat. So I'm probably not going to use it for that, but still, I want to have it because you draw it sometimes quite infrequently. We need to build the engineering lab, and when it's done, we will pull logistics drones for it. And then here, we will fire Favorite Society and immediately start finding the voice to help speed our tradition progress up. And this is just a big boost to output from all the jobs on our capital for the next 10 years or something. So that was an extra, 6 or 10 alloys per month, plus, science and unity. Oh, anomalies, okay. So yeah, the prosperity agenda is just so good. At this point, we have enough alloys for another 40-ish Corvettes, so we're getting there. We don't have the extra fleet command limit. Here we go. And then in 2 years, we can get the fire rate one, which is really the important one. The star bases is not such a big deal. How long? Blue laser. And we'll have blue laser by then as well. Accelerated replicators on the growth node? Yeah, obviously that's what I want. Like, these are both fine bonuses, but pop growth, please. This is an extra 10% naval cap. Yeah, on Legion, yes, sure. Not that I need it right now, but I will eventually, probably. So at this point, how long will it take us to do the build-up? How long does a Corvette take? It takes 41 days. So on one shipyard, we can build 9 Corvettes per year. We need to build 50 Corvettes. So that's about 5 years. If we went up to 2 shipyards, we could do it in 2.5 years. And I want to wait about... Yeah. Sorry, the cat is on the keyboard, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here. But I think we can kind of start moving that direction, where we're about to have our key techs. First contacts take a long time, especially the first one when you don't have any skill bonus. That might be a little premature, but I've discovered that some of the techniques that I thought you could use to accelerate first yeah, see, he pressed the plus button. He was accelerating things. Okay, so we got our engineering workshop, and it pulled from... mining drones, which isn't really what I want. I want those, so I'd rather have miners. I would rather have miners than logistics, because miners are more productive on a per-pot basis. We might build another reactor district. Ultimately, so like this is responsible for our initial push, and then, yeah, I like efficient builder a lot. Later, this turns into our best source of energy, right? You're never going to find another system with this many energy districts as Void Dwellers. It's just not going to happen. So, ultimately, this kind of turns into a generator habitat, a generator system to feed, science in this one, and then we'll just pick some arbitrary system with a good number of max districts for Unity.
System survey complete. System survey complete.
These are both kind of bad. Like long term. Long term, I don't really want minerals from pops. I need them now, but I don't later. By 2250, I want to be getting them from stations. So, I guess we do upkeep reduction. Yeah, when blue laser comes out, we'll do the build up. And how long on the shipyard? Yeah, about the right amount of time. So. We might come up a little short on alloys because blue lasers are more expensive.
Technological acquisition successful.
It'll be fine though. Ordinarily, I would steal improved deflectors. This is the tech, I think, that unlocks research specialization on habitats usually, but because we have it from Constructobot, not high priority, survey speed, not high priority for exterminators who are going to be getting most of their surveying from other people. We're getting, so that's about 2 science per month right now. I don't think we have the reactors to really make good use of deflectors yet. Okay, but blue laser's out. Shipyard is in progress. This should have automatically upgraded, yep. We might have enough power to actually use the tier 2 deflectors if we had them. This will also scale up nicely as we take territory, though.
Construction complete.
Okay, so there's our shipyard. And we do have enough alloys to go for it. Still a while in the Xenolab. I mean, if we have... I would rather have logistics than maintenance drones, probably. And then if I have alloy left over after building the fleet... oh, I didn't merge them. We'll just cancel one and then merge. Then we can start thinking about habitats and outposts and things. We're gonna have energy problems. Yeah, I think we do more reactors.
System survey complete.
As we do the fleet buildup and the army buildup, we're gonna start incurring upkeep on those. And again, I would rather have tech drones than logistics drones. Cognitive node. None of these are what I'm looking for on cognitive node traits. I would really love Spark of Genius, please. Yeah, I guess we'll do the Edict Fund. Well, that's just better, right? I mean, I guess it's a small upgrade. It's only +1, yeah. That's fine though.
System survey complete.
That's pretty good. We have found 0 habitables, which is very strange, even for Void Dwellers. But it means that if we want to go nanite, we're not going to have any nano worlds within our initial... Yep, fanatic militarists. Oh boy. Not who I want to meet right off the bat. But hey, at least the buildup is... You know... Our timing on the buildup is about right for that. You know, we still need to build 15 corvettes at 20 per year, so it'll be done, you know, within a year. We'll do the upgrade, and then we'll go for it. We should probably start armies. Army cost minus 20%. That's a very interesting bonus. I don't know how many armies we're going to need, but it's probably a lot. And then I don't really want him running my planet, besides for that. The army build speed, you know, it's not bad, but...
Technological acquisition successful.
I think we do tech drones. We want to be building towards energy grids. It's nice. They're both good techs, but okay, fine.
Technological acquisition successful.
Carriers we might want for defense at some point. The reclamation plants, these are interesting because the upkeep is quite expensive, but reducing fabricator upkeep, you know, how much are we spending in alloys on our capital right now on fabricator upkeep? 80, right? So like that would pay for itself. I really do like researching carriers when I draw them early, though. And we still are waiting on the Xenolabs. That's our next build on the capital.
Anomalous surface variable detected.
And now we've finished Supremacy. I like Imperial Prerogative, especially for Void Dwellers, where you're building lots of habitats. I'm actually really curious. I haven't tried Necromancy in 4.0 yet with Exterminators. Purging has been really weird. It feels like it's going really fast. I don't know if it's like declining on a per pop group basis or what. Interstellar Dominion is also one that I will want when we go wide, but we're not there yet, I think. We do still have a lot of space we need to take. Maybe that's the play. How many systems is this space, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So that would save us like 15 empire size. When we hit 3 planets, Imperial Prerogative comes out ahead. We have a lot of a lot of influence banked, and we get a reduction already from Exterminator to Starbase influence cost. So I think the influence upside is small. I think we do Prerogative. Okay, upgrades are almost complete, and then we're just gonna YOLO at them.
Completed.
They probably don't have 60 blue laser corvettes in 2215. If they opened Supremacy and did everything right and got really lucky, we could be screwed. But it's probably fine.
System survey complete.
Ready? Ready.
Diplomatic alert. War protocols initiated. Technological acquisition successful.
Here's the Xenolab. We'll do the Unity thing. We don't really have the drones for it. Again, we'll pull logistics probably when it finishes.
Hostile stationary asset engaged.
This is a scientist with anomaly speed. This Unity bonus is quite good on governors. And because we can't really build pure science planets because we get archives in our capitals, that's actually quite nice.
Hostile fleet assets engaged. System survey complete. Anomalous surface variable detected.
Hopefully their fleet is in their capital. That's where it would be if I were them. Here we go. They have, 1,500. They are, so often the AI will just kind of build to their initial naval cap of 20. I don't know if they get the extra because they're militarists or where they got it, but they are building up beyond what I often see. They're paralyzed. Clean. Coil guns. Okay, that wasn't combat stats, but... Our army buildup is way behind where it needs to be to take this planet.
Complete.
No losses. Not a wipe, but good damage. They'll probably just come back out at the capital, so I want to stay close so I can catch them before they get a chance to repair. I would also love to get that coil gun stack. Not because I want it. Okay, they came right back out. Darn. That was fast.
Alert. Spaceport engaged.
They might just lose the spaceport, though. Okay, here we go.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Still not a total wipe. And again, I don't want to be pulling miners. I'm pulling logistics drones. I mean, that's all of them if we have 250 jobs open, so. Not literally all, but darn close. that wouldn't be a bad place for a bastion. But a place somewhere I'm going to build habitats is an even better one.
Hostile stationary asset engaged.
And again, so we're running a trade deficit. Don't care. Because we're productive elsewhere, we'll just sell minerals if we have to. We're starting to get station income from things we're capturing. Okay, they have another colony. It's just colonizing. It has no armies or anything. We don't really want these planets. That is one thing that's different. Well, I don't want to get too far from the capital, because their fleet will come out somewhere.
System survey complete.
There's the hour on the actual game. But at this point, right, we did this as an initial build-up. We have the opening war pretty much in the bag, right? Their fleet is they're down to like 2 corvettes, maybe. I mean, so they had 22 initially. We've accounted for like 17, so they might have 5 or so. Even if they get in, we can chase them down. So, yeah. So we'll, this is a fine opening. I am content with this opening. I look forward to continuing this game. So thank you for watching.